UFC Fight Night Garcia versus Onama is this weekend, November 1st. Not the best fight night ever, but I'm here for my predictions. Let's begin. I'm not going to go over every single fight because the average MMA fan are not going to know half the fights, but I do have some key fights that I have lined up. The three main fights I'll be talking about is the main event, Steven Garcia versus David Onama. Co-main event, Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Ante Dalija. And then Cedriquez Dumas versus Dante Johnson. But I am going to quickly recap this fight, Caitlin Vieira versus Norma Dumont. It's not the most interesting fight, but it is good to see who will be a top contender after the Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes fight. I think Norma Dumont will be winning this fight. And I also don't really want Caitlin Vieira to win this because she's already fought Kayla Harrison and lost. So if she did win and become a quote unquote number one contender, no one would be interested in that fight. Also, very quickly, my predictions for these fights will be Billy Elicana. For this next one, I am going to have to pick Sakia Ko, I think is how you say it. And then for this one, I'm going to have to pick Charles Radke. Those are my quick predictions for those fights. Now for the fights that I care a bit more about. Dante Johnson making his UFC debut. He's 6-0, and he's currently a minus 350 favorite. He'll be taking on Cedriquez Dumas, 10-3. He is a plus 285 underdog. For this fight, I'm gonna have to go with Dante Johnson. I have not seen any of his fights, but I used to actually be a fan of Cedric Dumas until he just kept losing and making excuses. And then I also found out that he has a very extensive criminal record. He actually has more mugshots than MMA wins. And also based on Dumas's last performance, where he got kicked in the groin and he kind of just gave up, I'm not too sure if Dumas even really wanted to fight. Like, he might have just pulled a Aspinall special. Obviously, getting kicked in the balls is a, a big problem in the UFC. You're trying to fight and then you're like, oh, I can't feel my nuts. But Dumas, I think he's on his last fight on his contract. He probably saw a way out and he's like, oh shit, at least I can make some show money and then I can fight again in the future and make some more show money. And then, he's going to get cut. But right now, I think Dante Johnson will probably finish Dumas in the first round. You know, uh, Dumas's last fight, he had he had fought Zachary Reese, which I can't really compare Reese and Johnson, but Reese had hit him with some good strikes, and Dumas was already like doing the chicken dance. So yeah, he doesn't really have that much of a chin. And I think it's time for him to get scrapped from the UFC. Next, we got the co-main event. Waldo Cortez Acosta, Ante Dalija. Waldo was on a 5-fight win streak right before losing his last fight to Sergey Pavlovich. That fight went the distance, which was surprising. Waldo definitely has a granite chin, which I think will help him in this fight. You know, um, I do not think this fight will end by KO, but I have been wrong before. Dalija coming into his UFC debut, his last fight, beating Marcin Tybura, which was actually revenge, because Tybura had beat him previously in a different organization. And for this fight, I'm going to have to pick Dalija to win by probably decision or KO. I also wouldn't be surprised. The reason for that is Waldo was on a 5-fight win streak, But I watched his fight, rewatched his fight with Sergey Spivak, and I honestly think the judges robbed Spivak of a win, and Waldo didn't look as good as I thought he did in the moment. So I'm gonna have to go with the Legion. Now the main event. My pick for this is going to have to be Steve Garcia. I do think David Onama is very good, but I just don't think he's on the same level as Steve Garcia. Garcia on a 6-fight win streak. I've seen his last 2 fights. He's looking phenomenal. Very crafty. I think he just has way more striking, just way better striker. Also, has good grappling, and Onama gets tired pretty easily. UFC YouTube channel actually reposted David Onama versus Giga Chikadze. Sorry for butchering that. But Onama was getting beat in the first round pretty bad just by pure striking. Then somehow overcame that, won the second and third round. But I think Garcia just has overall better striking. You see here he has a 78% TKO rate, 14 knockouts. Like this dude is coming to strike. He's coming to stand and bang. He's not trying to jab his way to a decision victory. And I think that's what we're going to see. Saturday is another KO. It's going to be his 15th KO victory Saturday night. And I also got the current DraftKings Sportsbooks odds for the main event and co-main event. See, Steve Garcia is a minus 125. Ante Delgia is a minus 122. So put those two next to anyone. I'm probably going to do those two picks and Norma DeMount. I believe she's like a minus 250-ish right now. So that's going to be my parlay. And I'm hoping to make some good money on that. So those are my UFC Fight Night Steve Garcia versus David Onama picks. And make sure to like, subscribe. If you want to talk about the fight, make sure to leave a comment below and I'll reply.